CT here. Our guest this week is Joel Hoekstra. Now, Joel has a very impressive resume, man. He has come from the Broadway show Rock of Ages, where he was a stage musician. He also did a cameo in the movie. He has played with Trans-Siberian Orchestra, Cher. He is currently the guitar player for Whitesnake. Very excited to speak with this guy, and hope you enjoy it. Guys, I want to introduce Joel Hoekstra, man. Thank you so much for being with us.
Hey, thank you so much. Appreciate it.
So I wanted to first start off and say, man, you're involved in so much. You go from Whitesnake to Trans-Siberian Orchestra. You played with Cher. Is this the longest you've been at home?
In a while, yeah. For sure.
So you are classically trained, which makes 100% sense when you deal with like Trans-Siberian Orchestra. But when was your aha moment as a youngster, knowing that you wanted to do rock and roll instead of the classical stuff?
Yeah, definitely AC/DC, hearing them, Back in Black, seeing them on MTV when it started. That was like, you know, Angus Young was the coolest, wanted to be him.
That's awesome. Now, I want to talk a little bit about Whitesnake. You've been involved with those guys for 6 years now. How has that whole thing happened? How'd you end up getting involved with Whitesnake in the first place?
Just like anybody else that auditioned. I mean, they needed a guitar player, so Phil Carson, who manages Foreigner, really helped get me the audition. Emailed David and got my foot in the door, and the audition went really well.
That's awesome. Now, as far as trans, how long have you been in Trans-Siberian? I wanted to ask about Trans-Siberian, but I also am aware that there's an East Coast and a West Coast Trans-Siberian. Am I right?
Yeah, I mean, consider ourselves one big band because we put the show together simultaneously in rehearsals and try and keep it consistent. But to maximize shows around the Christmas time, you gotta send out two. I guess we divide ourselves two ways. So yeah, there's shows that yes, a West band and an East band. But like I said, it's a pretty consistent show. There's some obviously players get their individual stamp on it here and there, but we try to make it so the show is the star of TSO.
Right.
But yeah, that's been going on 10 years now. Crazy.
Man, now I've come and seen you guys numerous times. Between the light show and the pyrotechnics and everything that's involved, the storytelling, when does the prep start for that show? How far in advance do you guys start prepping for the tour?
I think the production team is working on it basically all year long. Management getting the tour routed, the venues reserved, the venue reserved for rehearsal, which we rehearse in an arena to have each stage setup facing each other, working on the stage setup, developing that. That's like a year-long process for those guys. The musicians, we get a song list, not a set list, but a song list of like, know all this. I'd say a month before the first rehearsal, which is usually late October. So like late September, you get a song list.
Gotcha.
And that's like, know all these when you come to rehearsal. So that's usually when the musicians start working on it at home. Not
right.
Officially on the clock, but you want to hit the ground running in rehearsals. You don't want to show up just not knowing how it goes.
I'll tell you, one of the best things that I feel as far as Trans-Siberian Orchestra is the fact that you guys split the show into almost two different concerts, with the show of the Christmas show being the first half and the classical material being the second half and other material second half after intermission. How much do you get involved in either side, or like I know your classical bringing had to bring a whole lot to it, and how does that feel as a
Get
musician?
involved?
I mean,
I'm not really involved in any of the planning of the stuff. I'm
gotcha.
not one of the higher ups at TSO that would like say put together the set list or anything like that. But in terms of being involved in it, that's spread equally in terms of trying to perform well in the front half and the back half. I'm not really emotionally invested in one
Right.
part any more than the other. I just try and play it all as best I can, front half and back half. But yeah, I mean, I think it's one of Paul O'Neill's genius moves, having the rock opera in the front half. It tells a story, and then having a little bit of a production free for all in the second half. Great stuff. All stuff that if you would have said it to somebody, whatever, 25 years ago, people would have been like, but here we are, still in arenas twice a day. It's amazing.
Has there been anything with TSO that you've been scared to death? Because I see you guys take some incredible heights. The risers that come up to almost the ceiling of the arena. Has there ever been anything that you felt uncomfortable or a little worried about at first?
Oh yeah, all of that stuff. I mean, I'm scared of heights. So for me, that stuff is, it's funny how it works. It's like the first day in rehearsal, you go up on one of the lifts is always, you're scared to death, like can barely move. And then by the end of the tour, you get a little numb to it because you keep doing it over and over. And even though you're scared to death, you still somehow find a way to mentally get through without kind of caring all that much. So you just deal with it. But I'm not particularly great with heights, man, for sure. There's all that stuff is a little bit like scares me, but at the same time, I look at it like what an opportunity. Probably won't have the opportunity to do that the rest of my life. So
Right.
try to gut it out and have fun with it.
Now, is there any plans for TSO this year? I mean, with everything being due to COVID, the shutdowns and everything, are you guys planning on doing anything this year, or is it kind of just laid back?
No official word. Like I said, I'm not really involved in any of the planning of it, so I haven't really heard anything from anybody. They've checked in a couple times to see how everybody's doing, but there's been no official word to any of us on what's going on.
Gotcha. So, as far as Whitesnake, you guys were you guys in mid tour when everything shut down?
Yeah, we were. We had just done Australia with the Scorpions, and then Indonesia and Singapore, and we were set to go to Japan on our own, and that's when things got hairy in Japan, and then that shut it down, and they sent us home, and then when by the time I got home, things were as bad in the U.S. as they were in Japan, so
Yeah,
it kind of quickly elevated here or escalated.
man. Now, the other thing I wanted to talk to you about was the Rock of Ages production. You were a stage musician for that. You did a cameo in the movie. How was that whole experience?
Yeah, I mean that was life changing. It wasn't like something that I set out to do when I was a kid or a dream of mine or anything, but that really changed my whole financial reality. Being able to have that gig every day, 8 shows a week, basically for 6 years, and still take off whenever I needed to tour with Night Ranger at the time,
Yeah.
or with Trans-Siberian Orchestra. So it basically allowed me to go do those gigs, come home, and immediately have gigs waiting where I just sort of played nonstop for those 6 years. I mean, I would blink and I was doing another show.
Wow.
So it was that was the top thing. I mean, that was the best part of it. And then I think just to be on stage that much during that time was good for me. Just in terms of comfort of performing and just being used to being that type of guitar player and not a bedroom guitar player practicing, right, but maybe not know like entertainment value or whatever. I don't know.
Now, the cameo for the movie. I mean, I saw that they had sent an email out to whoever wanted to be involved with that. How'd that whole thing happen? And
yeah, I had a really good relationship with the producers of the theatrical production. So when the movie came about, they tried at first working me in the band, and then my touring schedule with Night Ranger wasn't going to line up for the shoot dates with that. So they were going to give me a position in the band, which was going to be the band playing with Tom Cruise. At the time, that sounded like a great thing because it was like, wow, that'd be super cool, and be in the official like band arsenal in the movie, but then like I said, the schedule didn't line up with Night Rangers touring. We had to be in Japan, so they kind of gave me a consolation prize at the time of being in this protest scene and just having a cameo in it. It was me and Sebastian Bach and Nuno Betancourt, Kevin Cronin, and Debbie Gibson. And at the time, that sounded like I was taking like a lesser deal, but it ended up getting more FaceTime in the movie than I think I would have gotten if I were in the band. They didn't even end up really showing any of those guys, just kind of silhouettes of them. So
Right.
I ended up getting it's one of those things that worked out. It wasn't like the theatrical production was way more fun and kind of edgy and cool than the movie. The movie kind of became like its own thing. But I don't want to say anything bad about it because it was good for me. But a great life experience, man. You know, especially at that time, the 3 days of I was having a lot of fun back then. It was 3 days of partying hard with Sebastian.
That's great. That's great.
We had a good time, man.
Now, 2 years ago, you started playing with Cher. How? I mean, to go from Whitesnake and Trans to working with Cher, how'd that happen? How'd that come into play?
Yeah, I knew Whitesnake wasn't going to tour in 2017 when David was going to get his knee surgery done. So he gave us the heads up, and I just texted a bunch of people like, "Hey, I'm looking to fill in. If you hear of anybody, I don't need a new gig because Whitesnake's still around. I got TSO, but if anybody needs anybody to fill in." And so my friend Justin Derrico, who plays with Pink, and he also is the guitar player on The Voice, recommended me to the other guitar player on The Voice, Dave Barry, who played with Cher. And he needed somebody to fill in. So Justin recommended me to him. I got to fill in, and then Pink actually pulled Justin out then on a promo tour.
Oh, wow.
Dave got really, really busy with The Voice, and I ended up doing more of the Cher stuff for like 2-3 years or whatever.
Now, how was that? Was there a lot of interaction between you and her, or was it kind of just all professional? You only saw each other on stage.
Yeah, it's just professional. She's been around for a very long time, and it shows. She's very professional, very nice, very like great to work for, but nothing beyond like, all right, this is what we're doing.
Gotcha.
That kind of stuff. Yeah.
So what's next for you? What are you lining up to do now? What are you involved with?
I mean, I've been just really working and keeping busy and active during this whole crazy period, man. I mean, I'm finishing up my album that's under my project name. Joel Hoekstra's 13 is the project name, and so this is going to be the follow-up record to the one I put out in 2015 called "Dying to Live." So that's being mixed right now. I put out a song from a project that we're calling Echo Bats with Tony Harnell, and that's a little more of like a power pop, like Beatles, Queen kind of vibe. People can check out the video "Save Me from Loving You" on YouTube, and that's also, we're doing a little radio campaign for that right now in the UK and Canada. So on top of that, I'm doing some quarantine type video things. I'm participating in this thing called Six String Salute.
I saw that, yeah.
Some big names involved with that. Let's see. I got a quarantine video coming out very, very soon with some very talented guys. A couple of them actually. I've been doing master classes for Rock and Roll Fantasy Camp, and also for this school called Rock Stars of Tomorrow. And teaching one-on-one Skype lessons has been really big. I've been teaching like over 30 a week of that.
Wow.
Yeah, that's been great. I mean, that's kind of like getting back to my roots. It keeps me on my guitar a ton, and my chops are going way up because I'm playing my guitar 6 hours a day. And
that's great.
So, it's been good for me actually. And then lots of sessions, man. A lot of people hire me. Rob Marotti, who sang for Saga for a minute, just hired me to play on 6 or 7 songs on his new record, and a bunch of people like that hitting me up to do solos on their stuff, and just did some stuff for like a Prague rock opera. Dockers Guild is the project. Did a bunch of stuff for that, and so yeah, so I'm really staying really busy, man. I feel blessed to be that busy during such a difficult period for so many people. So just trying my best.
I wanted to ask you a little bit about that benefit that you had mentioned. for the road workers. And I mean, here's a line of people who no one really thinks about in the rock circles, except for those involved with music. And I think it's a great thing. Could you tell us a little bit more about that?
Yeah, I mean, as I understand it, it's just going to benefit crews, local crews. So as you go through these venues, all hire local workers to do these load in and load out. So when you're a band, you don't just travel with your own crew. You kind of have the guitar techs and whatever your production manager and your tour manager and your sound guy, right? That your monitor guy. That's like your standard crew when you're in a band. But then there's this whole other crew that you encounter that's like locals that help with the load in, load out, especially with TSO when you're doing the arenas. You see just massive. You really get a feel for how many of these people are affected. So all these venues are in trouble, man, and the people have no money coming in. And there's, like I said, I'm lucky enough to have a backup plan and be like, oh, I'll teach guitar lessons. Cool, no problem. Have some fun, do this for a little bit, and but there's a lot of people out there without a backup plan. So I feel for them. I think this should be a nice event to raise some money for them. I don't know if we can really make a difference, but hopefully it makes a difference in somebody's life.
Absolutely. Now, my last question for you, Joel. As far as you teaching one-on-one lessons and things like that, how would people go about finding you for that? Like, is there a way that they can contact you for any of that stuff?
Yeah, you can just go to my website and then you hit contacts, and that's my email. So my email is just info@joelhoekstra.com. And people can hit me up there for Skype lessons or say hey, whatever.
Awesome.
I always appreciate the support. I get lots of words of encouragement on a daily basis, So this there's a big downside or dark side to all the social media thing, but there's also a definite positive side where it's still a lifeline and hear from people who are following what I'm doing. And I have people that support me every day on there, which is kind of mind blowing, just the people people care that much is an awesome thing. So there's a lot of crazy things happening in our world right now, but I feel like there's still a lot of good happening, and certainly I can't be pissing and moaning when I still have things I can be doing and am doing and doing well. So I mean, look, it'd be nice to be back out traveling the world and all that, getting paid, but I'm always thankful for that. I never was the type to gripe about it. I'm going to just try and do the same with this and just try and make the best of it, not gripe, and hopefully good things will happen.
Awesome. Joel, thank you so much for your time, man. And I wish you the best for the future.
All right.
Thanks, man. Talk to you soon.
All right. Cheers. Have a good one.
You too. Hey guys, thanks for checking out this week's Rock and Roll Union interviews. Make sure you hit the like and subscribe button down on the bottom of the page. And make sure you check out the Rock and Roll Union podcast live on the VOC Nation Saturday nights from 6 to 8 p.m. And make sure you check out our Facebook page for all the current happenings. Thanks guys, and until next time.